Hello. This week we discussed 1940's The Philadelphia Story starring Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant. During the course of her career, Katharine made a name for herself starring in a variety of films over the course of her six-decade career. And born to wealthy parents in Connecticut, it was easy to see her as a wealthy socialite in The Philadelphia Story. Cary Grant, British born, did not necessarily need to use any sort of acting pizzazz to appear sophisticated and worldly, but they both did in this movie and others, and that's what we'll discuss this week. The MidAtlantic accent, as it came to be known, is what you would typically associate with the way people talked in old movies. It was kind of an American accent, kind of a British accent, and I'm not doing a great job of performing the MidAtlantic accent because it was an accent designed to highlight wealth, elitism, and being a star in Hollywood, because it's not an accent that comes naturally to either an American or a British-born person. And certainly this accent fit both Tracy and C.K. Dexter Haven well, as they were both from the quote-unquote Philadelphia main line, an informally designated historical and social region of Philadelphia suburbs. So beginning in the 19th century, the railroads connected the quote-unquote mainline towns along the Philadelphia suburbs, and soon these became the homes of Philadelphia's old money crowd. And certainly based on Tracy's home and how many shots of the estate that we get, how many telephone lines were connected in the house, and that gorgeous pool, we certainly get a slice of life as it existed for the mainline families pre-war. Today, the main line is also known for several educational institutions, including Bryn Mawr, where in real life, Katharine Hepburn met her first husband. Okay, so let's talk about the MidAtlantic accent. Now, this was an important part of cinema from the birth of talkies in about the mid-20s until just after World War II. This accent denotes a kind of upper crust, East Coast wealth. It was created to unify and standardize an American dialect. People thought that American English was harsh and flat, so the MidAtlantic accent became something that was halfway British. And it was a way to add a patina of class to speech that would sound dazzling and worldly. And throughout the golden age of Hollywood, stars including Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant, Bette Davis, and Orson Welles employed the MidAtlantic accent in their films. And again, this is sort of a British-American hybrid form of speaking that relies on tricks like dropping R sounds and softening vowels to convey wealth and sophistication on the silver screen. And again, like I talked about, it's not a native or regional accent, so its early advocates bragged that its chief quality was that no Americans actually spoke it unless educated to do so. So you can kind of see where the class divisions with this accent come from. So while the origins of the accent are not entirely clear, it's generally agreed upon that it was voice coach Edith Skinner who made the MidAtlantic accent popular. Skinner taught at Juilliard and Carnegie Mellon. She published Speak with Distinction, which became the de facto diction Bible for anyone looking to speak in what she referred to as good speech. The book, which is still available today, gave advice on how to hold your lips, where to hold your tongue, and recommended exercises for the jaw, the neck, and shoulders to aid in proper pronunciation. Distinct utterance is the prime requisite of an actor, Skinner wrote. In fact, the audience should be able to take for granted that they can hear and understand everything an actor says without straining to do so. And this was important in both stage and film acting, and the talkies made this even more clear because the audience needs to hear and understand what is being spoken. And despite its popularity at the time and central to movies like The Philadelphia Story, the accent would fall out of favor shortly after World War II. And there were a couple of people, such as Gore Vidal, who continued to use this accent, but more and more into the mid and late century, it became almost a punchline for mocking snobbery. While you might not hear the Mid-Atlantic accent in great use today, its legacy has not entirely vanished. From the Mid-Atlantic accent, what is left over is a sense that there is a right and a wrong way to speak. And, whether you agree with that or not, in any culture, there's a sound that's generally associated with power. And in our culture, it's generally that mid-Atlantic upper crust accent. So when the silent era was bulldozed for the talkies, so too were those films' famous faces on account of most of those gorgeous screen silent actors didn't have the vocal training necessary, so their voices were seen as indecent, for lack of a better word. And Gloria Swanson famously said, "We didn't need dialogue, we had our faces." So in the Philadelphia Story, Katharine Hepburn's society accent was a perfect example. Come around about noon tomorrow, Hepburn trills, with a full-bodied pronunciation that turned her O's into oohs, that tumbled from her mouth effortlessly, and the modulation was just honed by her New York dramatic coach, Frances Robinson Duff. So you might be wondering how the Mid-Atlantic accent died. Well, thanks in part to sharp-tongued headliners like Humphrey Bogart, Americans began to see themselves better reflected in film. The Mid-Atlantic accent was very much in vogue until its abrupt decline after World War II, when audiences wanted to have more worldly films, more films grounded in reality, more films that reflected American society and everyday people. And even if a movie was portraying something fictional, they still wanted the characters to sound believable. And today, few actors will ever need to perfect a given accent to further their career, because today, vocal coaches can teach an American a perfect British accent. We've seen a lot of British-born actors convey an American accent to be successful in American films. And how many times have you watched a movie and someone with a quote-unquote perfect American dialect turns out to be British, Scottish, Australian, what have you, and then you hear them with their real accent, and it's mind-blowing. Today, there do still exist a few examples of the Mid-Atlantic accent. Elizabeth Banks, who was in a previous episode, Wet Hot American Summer, she did not use an accent in that movie, but if you saw the Hunger Games movies, she played Elfie Trinket, a flamboyant, fussy, upper crust character in a movie that highlights social divisions. Another example of this accent appears in Frasier with the snobbish Crane brothers, played by Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Pierce. And of course, any Simpsons fan is going to recognize the Mid-Atlantic accent in both Mr. Burns and Sideshow Bob, played, yes, by Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Pierce. So there you have it. If you ever wondered what that weird accent in old movies was or why people sounded like that in old movies, now you know. Again, we always appreciate our supporters, our listeners. We drop new episodes every Thursday. Again, this week's episode was the Philadelphia story. Recent episodes have included Kindergarten Cop, Total Recall, and we had an entire summer Lovin' series that was so much fun. Go ahead and fill up your champagne glass and click that subscribe button so you never miss anything from us. We will see you soon, and we look forward to continuing to bring you amazing content. And we will see you soon.